Welcome to the Post for All Season Sports Show. I'm Drew Rubenstein here again with Dave Racy. And Dave, the WVU men's basketball team lost at Texas over the weekend by 17 points, 88-71. But really, while watching that game, and I had the privilege of watching it, unfortunately, like most people back in Morgantown, the thing that kind of stuck out was Texas really does look like Big East teams of old. You know what I'm saying there, where they're the bigger players. Maybe at times they still put up 88 points, but a slower style of play, just able to dominate and kind of submit opponents down underneath.
So like Georgetown's old
Sure.
teams, with not Ewing so much, but even Dikembe Mutombo, and they've just had a slew of big centers, big guys in there.
Well, let me ask you this, because last year there was so much talk with the WVU men's basketball team needing to adjust to, quote-unquote, the Big 12 style of play. Does Texas kind of prove that maybe that's wasn't exactly an apt description of what happened last season?
Yeah, I think so. I think actually this team's performance does more to prove that it wasn't anything of style last year in our play. I think it was like, Juwan Staten is obviously not the same player he was last year. And
Right.
that has nothing to do with anything, but he admits it that, hey, I made up my mind to listen to Coach Huggins, and he's having a great year. I think, like you say, talent is always the key, no matter what, and you can fit your styles to any. I don't see a big difference really among basketball schools so much. Like football's a little bit different, but basketball, all these schools look the same. The good ones, Arizona, they're not light, or they have big guys and stuff. And every good team's got big guys and good players, and no matter what conference you come out of, I don't think there's a big difference like that in football.
I think you're probably right. You look at Syracuse, and they've obviously adjusted well to the ACC. And
ACC hasn't adjusted very well to them, obviously.
But it goes that way. And then you look at, even in the Big East, the old Big East, the Georgetowns, Louisville, Syracuse, Pitt, you couldn't get a different variety of style of plays there. So, that said, you mentioned what Staten's done. WVU hasn't necessarily used that as an excuse this year. And you kind of hit on Staten. Is he really the biggest difference between West Virginia last year and this year?
I wouldn't say he's the biggest difference.
No.
I wouldn't say it's the only difference. I think, Harrison Henderson have, both gained a year, and they've upped their game. And I think, I think Adrian's done a nice job of coming in and helping. He's given him a sort of a cog in there that he didn't have last year off the bench, or even if he's starting. So I think there's quite a few things going for there, but obviously Staten's the biggest, and he is the point guard. It's his show, and he's running it, and that makes a difference.
You mentioned Nathan Adrian. That was the next guy I was going to ask you about. There's been a lot of discussion about Juwan Staten, Aaron Harris, Terry Henderson, but I don't know how many people locally really expected maybe Nathan to do what he's done. Not that he's gone out and had double-figure scoring games every night like he did against Texas, but just from his ability to kind of withstand and even defend players within the Big 12, it seems like he's come along pretty nicely.
Well, these are the kind of players you need to build a good program. You can't have 5 high school All-Americans on your team, because someone has to share the ball and do the dirty things. And I think, Nathan's that kind of player. I think, he can shoot, he's skilled, he can handle the ball, he can do lots of things, he can fill in many niches, and I think it's a perfect kind of complementary player you want on your basketball team. And I think it's a good, one of Bob Huggins' best recruits was right here in Morgantown, I think.
That's very interesting. And what about Brandon Watkins and Devin Williams, especially out of the Texas game? A lot of talk about WVU just not having the size and athleticism and the post that it needs to maybe get over the hump. But is it fair to put all of it on those guys' shoulders, or what are the issues when you look at WVU's inability to really defend well and rebound well around the basket?
Well, we're one game removed from holding Iowa State down to a low point total, and their All-American player who was, a big inside guy. So, they get some credit there, for holding him down. And there's freshmen, so they're on the road. It's going to be tough for them, and just a question of, if they do what Juwan Staten says, work hard to get better, then maybe there'll be big surprises next year.
And last one, NCAA tournament picture. Before the Texas game had really come up into conversation. WVU seems to be on the bubble right now, but still, when you look at their overall record, I don't know if you've dissected the remaining schedule, but when you start getting the 13 or 14 losses, you wonder if they'll still get in. But what's kind of your take on
I think
the
they'll
season?
need at least 2 more wins. And fortunately, their schedule's tough enough. But like a win over Kansas might throw them in. That right there at the end of the season, that might be enough to put them in.
Very interesting. All right, Dave, thanks again for your time, and please continue to check TheDPost.com for the latest on the Mountaineers. Thanks for watching.